Welcome to Meet Me in the Penthouse. I am Amy, along here with my sister Molly. We help high-achieving women increase their income, but most importantly, their impact. We are neighbors, sisters, and business partners. We have built 8-figure businesses together, traveled the world together, raised our children together, mentored thousands of men and women together, and it's all because we have a penthouse mindset. We aim for the top, and we show others how to empower themselves to peel back the layers and truly step into their greatness and calling. Welcome to Meet Me in the Penthouse.
Hi, everybody. This is Molly Kroeker, your host for today. And, Amy and I were talking, and we had a pontoons and poker run this past weekend at the lake. It was the first annual. And we had actually met some people that did this on their lake, and we brought it to our lake, and we didn't actually instigate it. We just thought of the idea, brought it, and somebody else took it and ran, and it was great. But the whole point of this is while we had that and it was so fun, and we were one of the houses that hosted, is we ran into a friend, a neighbor, and not a neighbor, but someone that lives out at the lake. And we were just chatting, and she just said how nice it was to be around great people. And just her next comment was, will you just please call me sometime? And I think that surprised me because she's just such a happy-go-lucky, high energy. She's always in a great mood whenever you see her. And she said, I'm just so lonely. And so Amy and I, we were finishing our weighted vest walk and just really talking about loneliness. And isn't that sad that in your 50s, 60s, 70s, but even in your 20s, your teens, those were some of the loneliest years I had. And so we talked a lot about that. Our newsletter, if you're not a part of our newsletter, just email us at hello@sistersnextdoor.com and we'll get you on our newsletter. But our weekly newsletter talked about this. And the reason I want to spend a little time talking about this is I want to just jump ahead to when I'm working with someone and when Amy's working with someone, and we love doing group coaching because it's just an incredible way for everybody to gain value and truly to know that they're not alone. And I have some people that will only do one-on-one, and that's okay too. But I always think you're missing out if you're not in a group, if you're not in a community that's growing. And so with that, one thing that I do, and I do this in my network marketing business, and I also do it in our coaching at Sisters Next Door Coaching, and also in the Women's Collective, right? We have lots of different coaching avenues for people, but I always ask people, because I was asked this when I was coached. I've had a coach for goodness sakes, well, for 20 years. And I started way back 20 years ago, back when it was a life coach called a life coach. And I remember people were like, why would you have a coach? You have everything going on. You know exactly what you're doing. I'm like, no, I need guidance. And it was definitely called more of a life coach back then, where we're really mindset coaches. But the thing that I love to ask people, because it was asked of me, is what is it that you absolutely love? What do you love? And I want you just to take a minute here and think about that. Actually, take way longer than a minute. I'm going to give you some homework. This is what we have our clients do. So for a week, I want you to find 30 minutes, and 30 minutes is going to seem like 4 hours. It's going to seem so long of undistraction, no distractions. Don't look at your phone, set your phone, literally turn your phone off and set it away. No looking at your watch, no looking at your Apple Watch or your Garmin, anywhere you can get messages. And I want you just to sit and just write for 7 days and spend 30 minutes on what is it that you love? What is it that you absolutely love? And it's so interesting. I've had clients say, well, I don't even have the time to sit and do that. I'm like, if you don't have time to sit and do what you love, then what are you doing here? What are you doing here on earth? What is your purpose, right? We're here to create not just an income, but an impact. Like I wake up excited every single day. And a lot of you have heard that my right foot hits the floor. I say, thank and my left one hits the floor, I say you, like, thank you, God. Another day to be the hands and feet of you, another day to truly go live out my purpose. And so that is such a powerful exercise, and it'll open your eyes. It did for me. It really showed me, A, that I love to be outside. I love, love, love. And a lot of you on my social media have seen that. And I love to be outside. I love to be active. I love to be in nature. And it's one of my passions. And I figured that out by just writing down freely for 30 minutes every day what it is that I love. I also knew that I deeply and definitely love my family, right? Like I love, and not just my husband and my kids, but my nieces, my nephews, my sister, my brother, my parents. And I deeply love my friends. And so I just deeply love people. And the other thing that I knew that I loved was community. Like I love community. And probably some of the hardest years in racing and getting ready for Ironman and doing a lot of half Ironmans and just, marathon training, but especially in the triathlon world, it's a very lonely sport. Yes, there's the long rides, you always had to find someone to ride with, but when you're working out for those kind of hours, there's not a whole lot of community there. It's you on your own. And when it's pouring rain or when it's unsafe to be riding or you have limited time, you're going to be in your basement on your trainer. And that's what really has made me. I have one more race, but I just got tired of being lonely. I love being in a community and I love building community. And I want to just have you go back with me so that you know how much I love community because this is really what this women's collective that we have rolling out. But this is what Sisters Next Door coaching has been all about since we started over 3 years ago is it's all about community. It's all about lifting each other up together, about being seated at a table where there's room for everyone, and really truly building your self image, your self identity, your self worth, and doing it with like minded people. I mean, that's really what Sisters Next Door is all about. But I'm going to talk a little bit about community. So, where did this all first start? When I was writing What Do I Love? I was writing about my childhood and what I absolutely loved. I loved being active and I loved being outside. So you better believe it that I was a kid that loved Kick the Can, Ghosts in the Graveyard, Red Rover. I would organize things to meet at our elementary. And for those of you that know my age, that was way before social media. So planning that, getting everyone to the school so we could play Red Rover, getting everyone to the school so we had a really narrow ledge around this brick building at Wasmer Elementary that is no longer there. Well, there's a new Wasmer there, but my old Wasmer is now gone and is a big hole in the ground, sadly. But grew up in Grand Island and I just loved it. We grew up in the best time in the 70s and the 80s and we would play well until after dark and I would play in those footed jammies and I would tag along with my brother, but I always organized all my friends, all the neighborhood kids. Hey, we're playing Kick the Can at 8 o'clock tonight, or we're playing Ghosts in the Graveyard. That was really fun to play because it was dark and you could just run around the neighborhood. So I just loved community, right? I loved being a part of something. I loved creating something. I loved bringing everyone together. And then fast forward all through, elementary, junior high, back then, junior high, not middle school, high school, was always about community led Fellowship of Christian Athletes. I was the president of FCA, and that was big, my freshman to senior year, led the drill team, led, just loved leading, but building community more than anything. And then when I went into college, Nebraska Wesleyan was such a great fit for me because at first I was mad because it was literally the same size. It was smaller than my high school graduating class. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to a smaller school, but it had a really strong pre-med program. And so I built community again with a program called Ambassadors. And it was doing tours with new students that came on and building community within the ambassador program, building community in new student orientation at NSO, and really growing in my leadership there, but just rallying people together to just inspire these new freshmen coming onto campus. And then, of course, pledging my sorority and should not surprise you, the social chairman, right? Of course, I did not want to be president or vice president, but the social chairman was a way fun job because my dad did all the t-shirts back in the day when you went to the Greek shop and picked those up and put them in my tiny Nissan Stanza. And I loved, coming up with different ideas, different ways we could collaborate with different fraternities. And it was probably one of the first years that Wesleyan students did things with UNL students. And we did a lot of that because I knew a lot of kids that went to the University of Nebraska at Lincoln and that were in fraternities and sororities. So we did a lot of collaboration and a lot of community building. And I loved that. So I really, really learned community there. It's again, what is it that you absolutely love? And then went on to build an incredible community at physical therapy school. In next year, it'll be 30 years since we have graduated from physical therapy school. And there were just 40 of us, 800 interviews back then for 40 spots. And still to this day, those women are some of my very best friends because we have built a community of seven of us out of 40, but seven of us that were incredibly close all through graduate school. We still go on a girls' trip once a year. And so that community is so important to me and it makes me better, right? You hear all the time, you're the average of the five people you hang out with. So choose smartly, choose wisely. You don't want to be the best one. And that's why often I will put myself in a community, especially now coming back into tennis after being gone for years, where I am the worst one. But I'm like, how am I going to get better? They're going to keep letting me come and play, and I'm just going to keep getting better and better and better. And I'm going to pick people way better than I. Be a lot easier to be the best in the lowest group. But I'm loving like this new community of tennis. But even after physical therapy school, the next thing I did with community that just was truly, truly probably one of my most proud things that I've done as far as community goes. Gosh, when I think I almost get emotional, is our son was, God love him, he was so colicky and cried nonstop for 10 months. And we moved back from Des Moines, Iowa, where I was practicing as a physical therapist, back to Lincoln to be a physical therapist in a really cool progressive clinic. My sister knew the owner. She was a customer of theirs at Golf USA. And so we moved back because these first two babies that Amy and I had, Sam was 13 days older than Sophie. And then ironically, nearly 3 years later, for us, nearly 3 years later, 3 years and 4 days to be exact, we had Sophie, and 5 weeks later, she had Charlie. So I love that, obviously. And so I think back to Sam was colicky and crying, and I met with Anne Ringline, and we had really collaborated about this group, a running group. And I just was like, Anne, I'm literally hanging on by a thread. I'm working full time. I've got this baby that cries all the time. Calvin hadn't moved back from Iowa yet. He was still trying to find a job he loved because he absolutely loved the job he was working at in Des Moines. And I just was like, okay, I can do this, but now is not the time, right? I got to get this baby sleeping through the night. And we were living at my sister's still, trying to find a house. And so fast forward, and I knew Anne because my Anne had grown up in the next town over, and my mom was one of the women, and we've written about this in our newsletter, that started GI Joggers, and so in Grand Island. And so I knew of Anne, and she literally is like, those of you that know Anne Ringline, she is a gift to women when it comes to running. Like, she is out there running, sprinting with the 6 minute milers because she missed the Olympic qualifying marathon time by just a few minutes. So the woman is fast. And then she'll be out there with the 12 minute milers. So she just is a beacon of light to anyone who runs, and everyone knows her. So we had teamed up then the following year, and we started a program, grassroots, called Beginner's Luck. And still to this day, as I'm smiling, I'm like, oh gosh, it brings me such joy. We've moved away from Lincoln. We're about 40 minutes away in Ashland. And I see those t-shirts running around, and I just know what it took to build that. And so every Wednesday, we started the first Wednesday after the marathon because people are out there. The marathon's always the first Sunday of the month. The marathon and half marathon used to sell out right away. And now we've got some more options in Nebraska. And so we were like, you know what, this is going to be the best time, like the Wednesday right after the marathon. Because how many people have stood out there cheering, excited? A friend ran, and they're like, I think I could, what if I could do something like that? What if I could do something like that? So we literally took people that had never run before and taught them how to run a 2 mile. We had a 2 mile beginning, 2 mile intermediate, 5 mile beginning, 5 mile intermediate. I still have those programs to this day, way before Couch to 5K came along. But that's what we did is we built a community over 400 runners that showed up every Wednesday. New Balance finally started sponsoring us, giving us free shoes. We had free giveaways. We brought cardiologists in, we brought sports psychologists in. We just brought experts in every single week for free. And people just absolutely loved it. And, to this day, I still see people with those t-shirts on and they've gone on to do more. And that's not what it was about. It wasn't about, hey, I hope I inspire you to run a marathon someday. But it truly was. And I told every single person that volunteered their time, I want you with the woman or the gentleman who is last, is probably showing up in flip-flops because they don't even know what shoes to wear. They're terrified. They don't have any confidence. They just want to be able to play with their kids. And it just brought me, I mean, still to this day, I have goosebumps thinking about the women and men that just showed up with nothing. And they, 8 weeks later, were running a 2 mile race without stopping. And just to see what that took and that they put the time in and they followed the program. And then we would meet in a community every single Wednesday. And so that program has continued on for 25 years. And yes, a lot of those people that started that, I shouldn't say a lot, a handful, more than a handful, have gone on to just fall in love with running. And it's just neat to have them message me and say, Molly, I ended up running a marathon, or I ran a half marathon, or now my kids are running and we're doing 10Ks together. So I built that running community because what is it that I love? I love people and I love community and I love building people. And so as I look forward into my 20-year career in network marketing and just building people and building community. And everyone always says, it looks like you're having so much fun. And because of that incredible business, I have been able to do another. It's not either or, but it's both and. And so I get to do that business. And the favorite thing that I do in that business is to coach people. And I just wanted bigger conversations, global conversations with women that live in Turkey, with women that live in Norway, with women that live in Argentina. I'm just thinking about where all my new friends are from. And that's what I wanted. I wanted impact in those countries. And so that's what led us to Sisters Next Door and creating this incredible community. And every day I write my goal about, I offer my wisdom because it's what you're willing to give in return, right? Like, yeah, my goal is, I am so happy and grateful that dot, 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 come to our morning self-discipline camp if you really want to know, because we do share our goals there. And it's free, you guys, it's free. But the thing that I love is that I say, what am I willing to give in return? With a goal, it has to be, what are you willing to give in exchange? And in exchange, I'm willing to give my creativity, my wisdom, my unwavering devotion, my presence to the women and the men, but to the women that I serve, because I know each soul will feel a ripple of abundance, healing, and transformation. And that's really what this is all about, is what is it that you love to do? And I love to build community, and I've gotten to do it. We've gotten to do it in Sisters Next Door, and Sisters Next Door continues to just show up in a strong way, especially with our program, A View from the Top. It's our top selling program, and we have the wealth frequency that we also love teaching. But if you really want to join thousands of women, I want you to join us at the collective, the Women's Collective. And it really is it's going to be powerful. It is a movement. It is what I do best, which is community. So if you're looking and remembering what we talked about in the very beginning of this about being lonely, maybe you're at the top of the game, maybe you're not. Maybe your business is flourishing, maybe it's not. But we really are equipped to serve the women that we once were, right? So I had it all, Amy had it all, but we just knew inside something was missing. And so it is for the person that is at the top, on the top, headed to the top, doesn't know where the top is. And it's really about community. And that is my most favorite part that I'm excited to build out in this women's collective over the next 6 weeks. So definitely you'll want to join us there. Message me. You can email us at hello@sistersnextdoor.com. But this one is not one to be missed. And we are bringing so many assets to it. It's absolutely bananas what we're giving you. So I want you just to promise me you'll check it out, you'll look at it, and I want you to promise me more than anything that you will spend the next 7 days for 30 minutes. Yes, 30 minutes, 30 precious minutes, writing down what you love. What is it that you absolutely love? Love, 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 love to do, love more than anything. And if you're willing to share, I would love to know what it is that you love. So find us on social media, on Instagram at Sisters Next Door Coaching, on our own personal handles, Molly Lund Kroeker, Amy Mosser Richards. We would love to hear what it is that you love to do. And we look forward to seeing you at the collective. Make it an awesome day.
Hey guys, we'd love to have you join our waitlist for our class of You from the Top. There are going to be incredible women who are making incredible, decisive, clear decisions. The energy is fabulous. The view from the top is fabulous, and there's room for you at the top. Go to sistersnextdoor.com and join our waitlist.